Hey everyone. So, I've actually come down to the studio on my own. I don't know why that sounds so dramatic. Yeah. So, last time we were here, the boys were complaining about a smell, an innocuous smell that was throughout the studio. And, yeah. Didn't know what it was. I just assumed it was like a dead rat or something in the ceiling. I let the landlord know, the owners of the building, and they came and sussed it out, and they said, Dimitri, every room other than yours smells fine. So right off the bat, I was made to feel like a problem. I'm like, great. So what could it be? You know what I mean? So they said they came in and had a look around, then I came in and had a look around, then we both came in and had a look around. And, you know, they entertained the idea that maybe something crawled underneath the carpet and died. I'm like, mate, it's paper-thin carpet tiles on cold concrete slabs. Like, there is no way. Like, ants won't be able to crawl in under there and die. So, we did a bit more sleuthing, and we deduced that it must be the fact that there is zero ventilation in this room. Even the door leading out has got like a gap stopper, which I installed, you know, just to block out all noise spillage, you know, inside and out. Hey, it's an illusion of soundproofing, but yeah, anyway. It does do something. I'll be dead set honest, it actually does do something. I remember when in Noble Park, when I first set it up on my studio door there, and I did a test record with it applied to the door, and then did a test record without it. And you literally could hear what was going on the balcony outside without it. So sound does travel, amazingly. Anyway, fuck Christ. Yeah, so we deduced that it must be, because there's no ventilation and because it had been really hot, the aircon had been running flat chat, and my studio is typically the warmest room in the building. The lack of circulation must be just dirty air coming in, and because we always have the door shut, it's one of those evaporative sort of systems where you need the door open in order for the aircon to fully work, all that sort of crap. And that's what we assumed, that it was just a lack of poor circulation of the air, and it was just building up. So when it actually got into my room, it just stunk. So I gave them permission to keep the door open as long as they were here in the building and the front door was locked. And they said slowly the smell was sort of evaporating out of the room. I've come in now, a week? 2 weeks? It wasn't last week, because last week I was away camping. So it was the week before. 2 weeks since I was last in here. It smells all right. There's a woman that runs like a physio recuperation thing. I can't remember what it is specifically, right near my office. And we were just talking about business and work, and people haven't got expendable cash and yada yada. And she's like, oh, it's really dropped off. And you do this one day and it works, and then you try that and it doesn't work. And her final summation of everything was, I smell. And now that Big Daddy scene really sort of comes to mind, where Adam Sandler lets the kid that he'd fostered become the smelly kid in the class. I know I didn't smell when I was a kid, because my mum made us have baths like regularly. But yeah, how do you let your kid become that smelly kid? But then your own personal hygiene's in question. I don't know. I don't know why I'm rambling off. Anyway, so I thought I'd come past here, just suss out if the smell had disappeared. Dissipated would be a good word. I was going to say, the only thing I can think of that is actually really bothering me is the Carlton game on Thursday. And I said that I wouldn't turn this into a Carlton podcast, because typically people don't tune into this podcast to listen to footy results about one team that's done jack shit for the last 30 years. So I'll try and avoid that. The other thing that's bothering me is the price of shit. I went to dinner last night with some mates to try out, a joint that had just opened up. And ultimately, you get four guys between the 20s, 30s and 40s talking about the economy. And it just reminded me of what I went through this week when I went to VicRoads. I've got 2 motorbikes, as many may have deduced. What these stupid words I'm using. And one I'm trying to sell, and that's another, fuck me, that's another event in itself. And the other one is over 25 years old. So the whole purpose of me buying it was to be able to put it on club plates. So low reg, I rarely ever ride. If it's once a week, you're lucky. Anymore anyway. So, yeah, I went to VicRoads. I was out on the road this week quite a bit, and I was just Googling ahead of time where the VicRoad offices are in Melbourne. And I happened to be up in the Richmond sort of Mitcham area. I went to one. I get there. They tell me that it's not a VicRoads office. It's only a testing and something or other. They don't do permits. They don't do like regos there. It's just testing and something else. I was like, what do you mean, man? And he's like, oh, there's another one about 10-minute drive from here in Ringwood. I said, okay. I get back in my car. I drive out there. I was on the phone with a mate during this, and I was adding my director's commentary through the whole thing. I was losing my mind. It's in the main hub of Ringwood, opposite the train station there. Massive, massive building. The building looks like it belongs in the CBD. There's absolutely no parking anywhere near it. Closest parking I found was at Eastland's shopping centre. So I've parked the car, started walking. I walked the 10 minutes or whatever it is to get back to the building. I go through those revolving doors that they have out the front, and I literally chest bumped the back of the guy in front of the door. There's a couple standing there, and this line was literally longer than anything I've ever seen. And I just went, what the fuck? Like, I said it as soon as I walked in, and they started laughing. A few people started laughing at the back. And I said, is this the line for tickets, or is this the line for appointments? I said, no, it's the line for tickets. Like, are you kidding? I'm like, nah, man. I said, has this line moved? Like, nah. And I just sort of stood there for a bit. I went, pull me over and arrest me. I go, fuck this. And I walked out. Walked back to my car. Completely eventful visit to VicRoads. I went back to my car, found it, got lost, of course, trying to find my car at Eastland. You've got 100 devices like on your phone that you can, plant a marker so you remember where you park, remember the spot, blah, blah, blah. Never use them. Well, why would we do that? So I've walked back, got in my car, said, stuff it. I mean, I was in Oakley on, what day is it today? Saturday, Friday, so it was Thursday. I said I was going to be in Oakley, around about Oakley, so I'll jump into the VicRoads there out in Kingston. I get in there, seamless, not much of a line, go in, yep, I'm here for this, yep, cool, no worries, fill out your paperwork if you haven't already done it. Of course, I hadn't done it, so I filled it out, got a ticket, sat down, and yeah, they called me up pretty quickly, maybe within 5 minutes, not even. And I've gotten up there, handed my paperwork over. She's like, yep, cool, this all seems in order, blah, 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 bling, bling, bling. I'm like, yep, cool. And she said, it's $108, transfer fee to establish a club plate. I said, yep, I can handle that, no problem. How many days do you want? 90, 45. I said, yep, cool, $108, no problem. Hands me the plate. And then I asked about my other bike that I'm selling, because I've got a custom plate on that bike. And I said, I should change that plate over before I sell it, yeah? Because it just makes the whole transfer easy rather than sell after the fact. She goes, yeah, 100%. And I said, I've got the old plate from that bike. Can I use that? She said, no. You got to bring it in when you get a chance. Okay. I said, can I use this plate that's just come off my 25-year-old bike? Still a bike plate. She goes, no. So I've got to buy a new plate. She says, yeah. What's it cost? $20. I'm like, so hang on. I can't use the plates that exist and have existed on these bikes before, but I've got to establish a new plate. Yes. Right. I go, what about my custom plate? Okay, I've bought that outright for, $550 or whatever it cost me when I got it a couple of years ago. I go, what happens when I get a new bike and I'll put that plate back on? Oh, it's a $150 re-establishment fee. I go, but you're simply taking the plate offline. I go, it doesn't have to be established. It's right there. She says, yeah, but it's $150 to put it back into the system. I'm like, hang on, man. You're not letting me use plates that physically exist, that once existed on these vehicles. I can't use them again. Okay, if I bring them back, do I get money back for the plates? No. So I can't use these plates. I won't get money for them when I bring them back, which you're expecting me to do, but I have to pay $20 to get a new one. And then the one plate that I have that's already established that I've had for a number of years that I'm just simply taking off, unassigning off a vehicle, to reassign it to a vehicle which would literally be a click on your mouse, I have to pay another $150. Are you actually kidding? What do you mean? Luckily, she had a sense of humor. I said everything I just said. I'm not, embellishing any facts. I don't embellish. And she had a sense of humor about it. She laughed. She's like, I know. And she just shrugged. She goes, I don't know, man. I go, yeah, okay. That makes two of us. It's just an indicator of just how far they're screwing us in this country. And, I've said it before. Anyone that's listened to this stuff, to our pod, whether you've listened to it for a minute or a year or 5 years or 8 years now, coming up 9 since the inception. Conception or inception? I don't know. I'm extremely grateful for, this country, living here, having won that life lottery, having been born in this country, having the opportunities I get, all that sort of crap. I'm well aware of my blessings and how lucky I am in general. But the rort is becoming really hard to ignore. Really, really hard to ignore. It makes no sense. Just the screw job. I get they privatised the license plates of VicRoads. A lot of people don't actually know it. They privatised that a little while ago. And it's just a screw job. Just a rort. Things you expect to be free or very minimal. Just a formality. Yeah, I'm lucky I had $100 on me to pay for it. Otherwise, I would have wasted my time. And for the privilege of, driving on the road where we also pay registration, insurance, and everything else. But then you get people that seemingly get away with this shit forever. I don't know. Don't know where I was going with that. It was just a bitch. God, I think I'm just trying to avoid the fact that Carlton got freaking poleaxed by a bunch of kids on Thursday. And I mentioned to Terry we should do it. He mentioned it to me because we need to do a pod at some point before the season really gets underway. I'm going overseas in a couple of weeks. I don't think I have the energy to muster. I still haven't re-upped my membership. $250 I don't have. And quite frankly, after that display on Thursday, I don't want to give it to people that are undeserving of it. Again, not making this about Carlton today. Just still venting because it's still raw. A mate of mine that I went with to the game, we had parked outside my building, so he just walked back to my joint, and we're just talking about it, and he was just gutted, and I didn't hear from him all day Friday, and then I got a message from him on Friday night just saying, man, I can't, I'm numb. I'm like, yeah, I know. They don't care. Why should we? Oh my God. I don't know what you meant to say. It is what it is. What's actually happened in the last couple of weeks? A few things have happened that have annoyed me. See, that's the thing. I don't know what people have come to expect from this podcast. I've been talking to a friend of mine about, the rebranding and getting it more sort of, not necessarily mainstream, but just start figuring out how to make it more appealing to the common man. In all seriousness, yeah. My exact quote to her was, I really don't want to have 20 listeners forever. And I've joked about it for a long time, but the grind is just starting to wear me down a bit. It's costing a lot to produce these things, as often as we do, which isn't that often anymore just because we're flat out. And really the only way, I've got no more money to actually invest into marketing or anything like that. So we really want to try and hammer out what the identity of this podcast is, because it has changed a lot. The essence of it's still there. Like the last 8 years, you can have a look at any episode from any time, and it's essentially the same format, just idiots talking shit. And I know that's not really appealing. If we had Botox and fake lips and did drugs openly, yeah, it would probably get a lot more traction. And the one thing my friend said, who's in marketing, and she got a background in marketing, she said, you really need to get your face out there. You know, make it more personal. So it's something that people can actually latch onto and identify with. I was like, yeah, that's a good point. I've always avoided it whenever I can. And then I thought about the description of the actual podcast, which I actually haven't changed in a long time. As someone who knows the importance of marketing and branding and helps other people with their own marketing and branding, I've really left mine to die just because I never felt I had a product worth marketing or branding. As ironic or stupid as that may be. So I've really sort of come to think about what the hell it is we're actually doing with this thing. Because, yeah, costs, you know, you sort of notice $500-600 missing out of your bank account every month. And, yeah, not that I don't love doing this. The idea of losing the studio and everything we've built really, really guts me. And I don't want it to get to that point. But I really need to figure out how to start moving this to a broader audience. We do rely on every single like, share, follow, and subscription. You know, any reshare, any like does, you know, just liking the thing on YouTube, you know, goes a long way. And I've really got to start paying attention to putting out more content when I can and all that sort of stuff. What was I going to talk about? I've actually forgotten. I remember now why my Thursday began really disjointed. I was half asleep. I left my house and I'm going down Princess Highway. I'm headed inbound, you know, towards the southeastern suburbs. So I was out near Chapel Street, that intersection. I stopped at the lights, and I was exhausted. So I'm just literally half asleep. And there's intermittent fasting, so, you know, no breakfast, just an up and go. And I was saying it to a mate on the phone. I go, you know, these up and goes are expired because the straws are made of plastic. I bought them cheap from Woolies. And while I'm sitting there, like half asleep, there was like a few sort of junkies floating around in front of me, just at the lights. I don't know what they were doing. All of a sudden, bang! And I'm like, I sort of got startled. I'm like, what the fuck was that? And there was a pizza slice sitting on my windshield. And it took me about 5 minutes staring at it, like, what the hell? Like, where did a pizza slice come from? Like, did someone throw it? Like, and I figured it out. Like, a bird must have dropped it. And and the thing is, the slice stayed there for a good, till I got to my first appointment, which was about 25 minutes from there. And I remember just staring at this slice, and it was like an old school slice. So it had like that Pizza Hut feel, that thick base with that brown red crust, almost like plastic, you know. And I was just staring at it, and like, Jesus Christ, a bird picked this up and flew off and flew away from like a crowd. The bird had to be a tough motherfucker to hoist a pizza slice off the ground and take off with it. And then, like, imagine having to fight off other birds for it. I mean, who leaves a whole pizza slice on the ground? I've eaten, you know, shit from seedier scenarios. The bird had to fight off other birds and then just seemingly left it there once it landed on the car in traffic. You'd think the bird would have flown over to grab it. I would have been following it. And then I thought, fuck, man, what if this bird's following me down the road? And I get out of my car, you know, when I hit, you know, Moorabbin or wherever the hell it was, and just, get henpecked to death over a pizza slice. You know what I didn't do? I didn't check the ground. When I got to the stop, I actually pulled the slice off the car in a sanitary way, went into my appointment, and I didn't check the ground to see if another bird had picked it up, or maybe like the original bird had followed me. I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with this. Doesn't really matter. I'm just rambling to avoid Carlton. So I've been doing my best to stem the algorithm of crap. And the last couple of weeks, all the Trump nonsense has sort of started working its way back in. And admittedly, I found myself looking at a few Brian Tyler Cohen clips and, you know, a few of the related accounts. There's no way I'm falling back into it, you know, with David Pakman and Farron Cousins and, you know, all the other satirists and, you know, nighttime shows. I can't do it. So, but the Trump nonsense was hard to ignore, with all his tariffs and his rubbish. His latest one being that he's going to put a 200% tariff on imported booze from Europe because that'll help boost American champagne. It's like, by definition, champagne comes from France. There is no American champagne, you fucking dunce. But I digress. I've tried my best to stem that flow. But, if you've listened to this pod and you've spoken, you've listened to me, Andy and John, or whether it's low-hanging fruit or the midweek rub or whatever, a lot of the convos stem back to, ultra-liberalism, ultra-wokeness, the hypocrisy of, far extreme feminism and all that sort of thing. And my big thing that is sort of poking through the algorithm is the Whatever podcast, where it's the same setup every single time. It's just a bunch of OnlyFans girls, three male panelists, just telling them how depraved their lifestyles are and make no sense. For me, it really came to a head. Not a head, but it was just a point. Every time someone says they're an OnlyFans model, you're not a model. You're a sex worker. You're selling nudes and videos of you doing shit to yourself or other people, or having other people do shit to you. Or you're no better than the $4.95 a minute from the 90s sex line ads, where you're basically putting on a fake relationship, with an anonymous caller. And that's the thing. It's even more anonymous than it was in the 90s, because in the $4.95, at least you spoke to a woman on the other end of the line. Now you're just getting whoever behind a computer screen. They're selling you nudes that they're just putting up behind a paywall. It just bothers me that we've, watered it down to OnlyFans models as if it's a category of their own. Yeah. Grifters have been labelled as influencers. These are just deadbeats that just used to skate through life and then found the niche and kept repeating the process, when there's millions of people actually trying to create content to monetize and create a living off, with actual skill. But then, my mum has a thing where, in the, when you walk past a busker, if she keeps walking and doesn't stop, she just keeps walking and doesn't stop. If she stops and listens for more than, 20 seconds, she'll give money. And I'm the same. If I stop and actually appreciate the performance and take it in and take a photo or a video or whatever, I will leave money. Whether it's 10 cents or $1, whatever I've got on me, whatever it is. Or, I'll jump on their socials and follow them, or, put it up on my socials and tag them. Something to reward them for their work. Because, they're doing it out of passion for the art and whatever it is they're performing. But ultimately, they're doing it to get a wider audience. The same reason why, I did this podcast, the same reason why, Terry from Blue Abroad started it, and kudos to him. He was in the papers. He was in The Age the other day. They did an article on all the fan-made football commentary channels now that have existed. Terry was one of the first to do it to the scale that he did and to the level of professionalism that he has, which is fucking, kudos to him. And I'm proud. I'm proud of everything he's done, and I'm glad that I was there more or less from the beginning. He'd done it for a little while, a couple of years before it really started to take off. But I'm really happy to have seen it sort of evolve to what it is, and how he's being recognised for his efforts and is being part of the greater football community. But then, like I said, Instagram influencers and TikTok influencers, they're not influencers. They're professional grifters that just want to skate doing jack shit. When we started calling OnlyFans models as if it's its own category of model, it's like, well, it's not a category model any more than it is because it's sex work. That's literally it. And I'm not about breaking the taboo on sex work, but let's not normalize it like it is anything other than what it is. You're literally selling your body. And it is what it is. It's sex work. And if you've got girls growing up, entering high school, and they're wanting to become OnlyFans models or Instagram influencers or whatever the hell it is, in lieu of an actual career in marketing or medicine or whatever the fuck it is, you're just building generations of entitled, lazy individuals. And it's not just girls, it's guys too, and the non-binary, let's not forget them. Yeah. Just making a point. Like, I hate this normalization of it. And one thing that really annoyed me was something that popped up on the socials the other day. And it made no sense. Like, I don't actually understand it. Some random, Instagram model. Let's just call it that. I wouldn't say model either. You look at the account, there's 24,000 followers. I'm not even going to mention the name of the account. But the top three thumbnail photos are this woman, in a pair of jocks, three different types of underwear with her ass hanging out, same exact pose. She figured out where the good light was in her house. And the account, the description is, as long as I know I'm a good mother first, what I do after is no one's business. This is my only account. And obviously, you go into her links and it's got the Cash App where you can literally just send money for no reason. Like, just that, the Cash App, man, it's so scary. Like, what do you mean, man? Like, literally just sending. You go into a Throne account and the description is, I'm just here for fun. And there's just gift cards, gift cards and lingerie, gift cards in her Wish account, dresses, like, here for fun. You're putting a link on the internet for people to send you money indiscriminately, anonymously, for what? And you scroll through her account and there's, 99 posts and they're all either intense close-ups of selfies from the same angle because she figured out, how her nose, chin, jawline and rack looks the best, like most people do. And every other picture is just a selfie of her with her ass. It's literally the same three poses in the entire account. A side-on selfie, a front-on selfie, and then a back shot. Just here for fun. With a Cash App. Yeah? And I was like, what do you mean, man? When you look at the rest of the posts, and I hate that I look through this because it just bolsters the algorithm, its engagement. But when you look at the rest of the posts on the account, right, and this is the one that popped up on my feed. There's a picture of her in like a pair of boy shorts, right? The next post says, I did that wifey shit, loyal shit, stayed on my best behavior and still wasn't appreciated, so now I'm in my me era. What does that mean? You were forced to stay, loyal, faithful, or just, not put photos of yourself on the internet with your ass out, but now I'm in my me area, so looking after yourself, putting yourself first means putting nudes up? It makes no sense. Like, I don't understand how that's empowerment. I still don't get it. Maybe I never will. Maybe I'm old-fashioned like that. I got no idea. I just don't understand how selling nudes on the internet is a form of empowerment. You're like, what's the difference between you and, say, the women on Grey Street standing working corners? I don't get it. I know in the 90s we would never have said that women doing phone sex for $4.95 a minute were empowered. They were just working, selling a fantasy, ultimately dwindling down to the bare basics of what, that we've created relationships that look like. It's pathetic. It's just, I didn't understand it. And, we've got a buy me a coffee link, for the podcast. I like to think that we put a lot of time and effort in the content that we create. And I know over the last 8 years, people have reached out to me and said, man, that last one you did was really impactful, made me stop and think about things I was doing, the way I was living my life. Or, you know what, I never looked at something that way. It was really insightful or whatever. 1% of our content would be that. And there's a freaking budget. There's a predicted budget. I can tell you exactly what this podcast to create. So we created a buy me a coffee link. Anyone that wants to buy us a coffee just to help with production costs, whether it's, and I keep telling people, don't buy me a coffee. Like, share, follow, subscribe. Tell one friend. Put one Insta story up, and that feeds the algorithm. It's a form of, we appreciate it, But we're doing more than just like selling arse shots, There was that. And then there was that other moron that popped up, and I remember sending it. I hate my algorithm sometimes. I sent this one to the boys, and I think it was Andy just said, dude, you'd have to be actually a fucking lunatic for this one. It's a woman. She's got the silver hair because that's a form of empowerment now, not dyeing your hair. And she's in a bathroom. She's in a fucking toilet at the airport. And she's dancing. Seemingly she'd be dancing to nothing because I doubt she would have had the sound running when she was making this clip. But she's like just skipping and jumping in a bathroom, right? And it says, almost missed my flight for this. And she's just like bopping on the spot. And she goes, I wanted to see if anyone would dance with me. They just kept doing what they were doing. And she's like, so go ahead and dance like no one is watching. Because they aren't. Or they just don't give a shit. It's like the whole clip. If you want narcissism 101, you're in a fucking toilet in an airport and you've set your camera up on a sink used by thousands of people every day where people just want to go in the bathroom, keep within their anonymity, do their thing, wash up, get the fuck out. And this woman thought this was the appropriate place to dance like no one is watching because this proves that she's fun and free. The whole time in the clip, she just keeps looking to it'd be her left because that's where the entrance was. So she's looking to see if anyone else is watching. So you don't care. Yeah, you really do care if people are watching. Not only that, you're posting this on social media. So you ultimately want people to watch because that's the whole fucking point. And just be fun. What's so fun about dancing like a maniac in a fucking toilet? No one cares because they think you're out of your mind. They actually think you're insane. I still remember in the Philippines, I sat there on either in the pool or my balcony of my hotel, and there was a girl 4 flights across. I wouldn't even say girl, man. It's a grown woman, and she kept doing the same dance to it was a Lizzo verse. I can't remember the name of the song, whatever, but I remember the only time I'd heard it was that because I kept hearing the song on repeat. She kept doing the same moves. That's how I discovered the trend of that Lizzo song, because I saw 2 different girls, 2 different women across the hotel balcony performing the same dance to the same TikTok thing. Whatever the reel was, the trend going at the time. What do you mean? There's so many counter trend apps, accounts now on socials of people mocking, videos that get posted online. And I can see the point of it because it's exposing just how stupid some of these things are. The crying ones kill me. Yeah. Where there was one of a woman holding a dead pet and she's crying, bawling her eyes out. It's like, no one's filming you do this. This is you setting up a camera and filming yourself crying while holding a deceased animal. And then yep, cool. Put the camera down, put the animal down, hit stop, hit edit, add your filters. If you can't see how narcissistic that is, that's insane. Absolutely insane. I'm glad none of my friends have done this, and I'm glad I'm not on socials the way other people are. I keep my social accounts pretty Spartan. I don't have time for them, really. All of my social accounts have pretty much gone to shit just because I don't act, cooking page, I think I post once every couple of weeks. To be fair, I batch cook once or twice every couple of weeks and then just live off them just because I'm too busy. My own personal page, it's all just pop culture references or the podcast mostly, to be perfectly honest, and a random tweet every now and then. But to be that narcissistic and into yourself where you're going to post a video of yourself crying, dealing with trauma, get a fucking job, bro. Go to therapy. Get some pills. Do something. It's that, like Fabian had said, a couple of episodes back, it's that validation epidemic, and it's disgusting and it's scary. You look at the innovators, engineers, technicians, every space that's been created up until this point where people were, fighting and killing themselves to create things that would make the world better. Once we created social media and the generation, like say my generation, maybe the generation after me and the one before me, grasped what it was and started using it as a tool to network and connect, yeah, cool. But then it got twisted because you had entitled kids coming up. They were already being soft spoken to and softly handled in regards to their feelings and, validation. And helicopter parents just not letting them do any, not letting them fall over and hurt themselves. It was just like, no, let's put the pillows down everywhere. Now they got wind of it. And now we have influencers. I know I'm rambling and there's probably so much hypocritical shit in here, but quite frankly, I don't care. It's my time. I'm paying for my time. No one's cash at me this, so I'm not obligated to do jack. Touching on insanity, I will have to touch on the Carlton game just because I feel I've got to vent it. It was absolutely disgusting. It was deplorable. It was miserable. And I doubt I'm going to go back to any games anytime soon, just because I'm broke. I haven't paid for my membership, so I don't get the guaranteed games. And I just can't be bothered, to be fair. It's enough to take life's hard enough to have to actively support the Carlton Football Club and harbour their journey, and share the load of miserableness. But one thing I will say is something that I put up, because I've been following some of the comments online. Carlton's it's not a toxic fan base. We're just very, very passionate. Win, lose, draw, we've turned up. We're punching some of the highest membership numbers in the AFL, but despite having the least bit of on-field success in the last 30 years. And that's testament. Like anyone that says we're just bandwagoners because we only turn up, it's like, no, fuck no, man. We turn up every week to our own detriment. And I saw some of these comments, on Facey at different pages, different posts. Everyone's got the same dejected feeling, and a lot of the fans, that are 30, 40, that haven't seen success, the way we saw it, like late 90s, early 90s sort of thing. The 80s that come and gone, we were too young to appreciate it. And, a lot of people are mentioning the fact that, they were at the semi-final and watched the Carlton versus Melbourne game. Even be like, watching us in the prelim against Brisbane, it really bolstered numbers. It really gave us hope, all that sort of shit. Then last year was a write-off. And then now we've started the season incredibly pathetically, just as we finished last year. And I commented on on a few of these posts, and a few of them were pretty in-depth. And I think I might just read or summarise what I'd said. Everyone's just talking about, what the team means to them and how they're feeling about where we're at now. And I said something like, I'll read it. I left for overseas at the end of June 2023, dejected and glad to be giving myself a break from footy after having gone to all the Melbourne-based games for the first half of the season. While overseas, I found myself jimmy-rigging up internet connections to watch the games at random hours, with the headphones on, losing my loving mind completely alone. And that's what I was doing. I was watching games, whenever I could get in between transit, whenever they would pop up. I was trying to get KO to work on an old tablet and it wasn't working, so I was just finding ways to just get the footy going. And then I came back and suddenly everyone was telling me we were on the cusp of greatness. While I was gone, Carlton picked up speed in 2023, started winning games, won 10, 11 in a row, whatever it was, and everyone lost their minds. And the experience I had at the Melbourne semi-final will never be matched short of winning a flag. And it won't be. In 1999, when we won in the prelim against Essendon, I was still pretty young. I was 14 years old. And it was my first footy game. I remember it, but I don't remember the specifics of it. That Melbourne semi-final game, I cried openly. I was there with a group of friends who were hugging strangers and high-fiving, and the G just was rumbling, absolutely rumbling. I've never experienced something like that before in my life, and I doubt I ever will. The culmination of just years of disappointment, the comeback story and the redemption angle and all that, and the hype, it was just unparalleled. Then to go from that, I just posted that, the current crop of players won't ever get it, with the exception of Cripps, Wiedering, Silvani, and lest we forget, always, a 30 plus goal sneak and bona fide clubman who we actually let go. The rest of the players can go and sit with Lockie Plowman and smile on a reserve bench somewhere in Kilmore, playing grassroots footy. Because the fact that they have an opportunity to be part of a proud history of AFL greats and create a dynasty is just lost on them. When there was that talk about Carlton getting Petrarca last year, I was over the moon when that conversation just fizzled before it even actually began, because that idiot openly said he was more concerned about his own personal branding and his cooking page or whatever the hell it was, rather than his footy. It's like, you're a footy player, mate. It's a job, but this is an opportunity people dream of and a select handful get to do. And to openly say that you're not interested. And Harry Mackay said the same thing. He said he doesn't see it as premierships defining a footy player, or there's no need to rush a premiership. It's like, buddy, you have no idea what you're talking about. And I said he's deluded in regards to the length of a football career. And the window to win a premiership isn't 10 years or 20. It's like, I've got a 20-year career ahead of me, I'm going to win a flag. It doesn't work like that. It takes the right group of guys, the right group of skills, the right coaching, the luck of the draw, other teams, and what they're dealing with. There's so many factors that have to come together in order to win a flag and pull it off. So when you get the Cinderella story that could have been Carlton in 23, or like when the Doggies did it before that, to come from behind and just win it all, that's really, really special. And these are the things that stand out. You know what I mean? And these players don't get it. For them, it's a job. It's 9 to 5, and I get it. But in a society where the cost of living is getting harder, the opportunity to be great and stand out and make a mark in history that's going to stand the test of the next 100 to 300 years, when you're put in that conversation and you're given that pool of talent and opportunity to make that happen, and you take it as lightly as, I'm not going to let it define me. It's like, no, you're a fucking idiot. If you don't want to let an opportunity like this define you, then go find something else to do that will define you. Podcasting is not going to define me, but it's very, very important to me because it's an outlet that I was introduced to, which I still don't follow. I don't follow anyone else's podcasts, typically. It doesn't define me. I do so many other things. I made music for 20 plus years. I'm proud of all that tunes. It's disappointing that it never amounted to anything that would make me make a living from. I didn't expect to get rich from it, but I would have liked to have done media full time and made a living off it because I love doing creative things. I love doing voiceovers. I love, everyone knows that about me. That's just my thing. It's my own sacrifice to work a full-time job and maintain all my creative outlet because I just need that for me. But if you've trained to get yourself in front of 80,000 people playing a sport that most people play for fun and for free, and get up and do week in, week out for nothing just because of the love of the game. Okay, you don't have to let it define you, but you've got a window, and the most important thing is there are clubs, there are sponsors, there are fans that put money into the machine so you get that opportunity to keep doing what you're doing. Because we want to see you succeed. We want to see you do the best. And we want to see that club that we've all picked, it's un-Australian to not have a footy team and it's un-Australian to change footy teams. Yeah, you get a window of between the ages of 4 and 8 to change your footy team for whatever reason. Beyond that, you're stuck with that team for life. It's like a religion. Yeah, it's almost cultish. I actually got into an argument with someone over what a cult is. But anyway, I digress. My point is, just going back to what I'd actually posted about, I said the intensity, passion, and personal commitment to make their mark as professional sportsmen is gone. Now it's just padding the resume until the Instagram follower count hits or the TikTok follower count hits. It hits a high watermark, and they can just get paid to visit restaurants and, do podcasts of their own and review power tools that they know nothing about. And I honestly thought Michael Voss's appointment would instill, non-apologetic, must-win, die-trying sort of culture in a club full of complacent milksops. Winning at all costs, doing everything you can. It's not the end of the world if we lose a game. It's not. There's more to life than footy. But what is sad and what is the end of competition and what was a proud football club is when commitment and effort and passion falls away to entitlement, privilege, and paychecks. That's when it's done. That's when it's sad. And I said, I closed with, sadly I was wrong, and we're all stupid for believing these plays would encompass the spirit and passion the fan base has done so for decades before and well after their departure. Getting your name on the locker, it's a big thing. Milestones, recognition. No one signs up to the Olympics to come 10th. They all want to be number one. That's why they train. No one joins, and that's the other thing, man. People not making a big deal out of this are the people that don't follow professional sports, have never played organised sports. And that kills me. Organised sports and competition is very, very healthy. It builds leaders, it builds teamwork, it builds appreciation, you learn to work in a team, you trust your teammates, you learn to be part of a system, the rules, competition, fair play, all these sort of things, training, mindset, dedication, focus. There's so many things that come out of playing organised sports. And they're doing everything they can to remove it. There was that thing in Sydney where they removed all the ball sports from that school. I can't remember where it was. But it hit the feeds a week ago. And it was just, they're removing ball sports because of inclusivity. Kids are being left behind. What do you mean? So rather than have kids that feel left out because they weren't picked to, be on the kickball team or whatever at lunchtime, they're removing ball sports and they're putting in gymnastics and, what was the other one? Skipping. The two things that are allowed. The irony being, I don't see too many kids in wheelchairs doing gymnastics or skipping at primary school or high school level. But I do see kids in wheelchairs playing basketball and soccer and handball and tennis. But no, let's have them do skipping. That's more inclusive. And what really aggravated it was the fact that they interviewed like a bunch of parents outside the school. And there was, 10 parents, 8 said it was ridiculous and it needed to be reinstated. The 2 that said, nothing wrong here, move on, were these 2 zesty as fuck men who looked like they'd never picked up a racket or a football in their entire lives. And when I mean zesty, I do mean, they're part of the extreme left liberal LGBTQ community. And it's like, dude, are you serious, man? Are you actually kidding? You're gonna take away ball sports from primary school kids? Meanwhile, you want kids to engage, be more active, but you're gonna take away ball sports. And gymnastics and skipping are now taking place of them because they're more inclusive. Yeah. I don't see a lot of ramps on that hopscotch court. You know what I mean? Fucking morons. They're just ruining it. They're taking it to extremes because people are fucking bored because they had it too good, too easy, too comfortable. Never had to graft for shit. Everything was handed to them on a plate. And look at that. I've hit like 50 minutes of absolute ranting. I haven't done this in ages. Fantastic. Why me? I have to say, it's Saturday the 15th. The 15th. Last day for the Mackinac. If anyone doesn't know what that is, yeah, you're not worth my time. If you do know what it is, message me and tell me that you know what it is, yeah? New format, obviously, long form, no more stilted episodes. So, part A, B, C, D. It is a good thing. It keeps it all in one hit. People know how to press pause. People know how to come back to where they were left off. Spotify does it for them. YouTube does it for them. SoundCloud does it for them. The bad thing is that I now have to edit everything before I release it. So back when I could, do an hour of edit and then go home and cry myself to sleep, I no longer have to do that. I now have to edit the whole damn thing in one hit. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting year. I'm going to try and get in here more often. I've got maybe 2-3 people lined up for chats outside of the midweek rub and the low-hanging fruit. I can't believe I'm actually saying those as if they're actual things that have become things. And maybe one day I'll make some branding for both and get some merch released. I don't know. Yeah, I don't have much more to say. I think you're going to have to get used to me releasing these in staggered form. I'm going to piss fart around a bit with the branding. I need people to tell me what works, what doesn't. Please drop us a like. Don't buy us a coffee. Just drop a like. A like in YouTube, in Spotify, wherever it is you listen to this, on Instagram. Just a thumbs up. That's all I ask for. A follow if you don't already follow. There are so many followers that don't actually follow. And it'd be nice to know what the numbers really are. Make yourself known. Maybe I'll send you some free merch, all that sort of thing. There's an assortment of mugs, stickers, and T-shirts going around. But yeah, smoke crack.
Hold up.